The rain pattered against the windows of my Seattle condo, a gray shroud over the city that matched the grief in my heart. It was August 2025, a week after my husband Richard's funeral, and I sat in the quiet, surrounded by memories of our 40 years together. I'm Evelyn, 62, a retired CFO who'd helped Richard build his tech empire, Quantum Dynamics, from a garage startup to a $55 million fortune. Our son, Nathan, 35, and his wife, Claire, had joined me for a family meeting to discuss the estate, but their words turned my grief into rage. Our daughter, Laura, 30, sat beside me, her eyes wary. Tonight, I'd learn how far betrayal could cut. Richard and I had been partners in every sense, his coding genius paired with my financial acumen. Nathan, always ambitious, had joined the company but leaned on charm over skill, while Laura, a teacher, stayed grounded, her heart like her father's. Claire, Nathan's wife, was a manipulative force, her influencer lifestyle clashing with our values. I'd sensed her greed but trusted Nathan's love for his father. Now, with Richard gone, that trust was crumbling. The meeting was in my condo's dining room, the same table where Richard and I had planned our future. Nathan stood, his suit crisp, Claire's hand on his arm. "Mom," he said, his voice cold. "Dad's estate is settled. You're not getting a dime." He wanted it for Claire and me to build our future. The words hit like a slap. I stared at him, my son, the boy I'd raised, expecting Laura's shock to mirror mine. Her jaw clenched. But she stayed silent, waiting. "Nathan, what are you talking about?" I asked, my voice trembling. "I helped build Quantum Dynamics. The estate $55 million was meant for all of us." Claire smirked, sipping her coffee. "Don't be dramatic, Evelyn. Richard knew you'd survive. You've got your savings, right? Nathan's the heir now." Laura slammed her hand on the table. "Are you serious? Mom ran the finances. This is her legacy too." Nathan's eyes flickered. But he didn't back down. "Dad changed the will, Laura. It's done. He wanted me to take over. Not Mom." I looked at my son, his face a mask of entitlement, and felt like I was seeing a stranger. Richard's laughter, his dreams for our family, echoed in my mind. He'd been sick for months, his cancer stealing him too fast. Had Nathan manipulated him in those final days? I needed to know. But I kept my voice steady. "You're sure this is what Dad wanted?" I asked. "Nothing for me? For Laura?" Claire laughed, sharp and cold. "You've got your condo, Evelyn. Be grateful." The air was thick with betrayal. Laura grabbed my hand under the table, her loyalty a lifeline. I wanted to scream, to demand answers, but I needed to think. So, I nodded, forcing a smile. "I'll need to start over," I said. "Can I at least get $100,000 from the estate, for my future?" Nathan's smirk matched Claire's. "Dad knew you'd survive, Mom. You're tough. No dime for you." Laura stood, her voice shaking. "You're disgusting, Nathan. Dad would be ashamed." I pulled her back, signaling calm. "We'll figure it out," I said, my voice hollow. As they left, Claire's smirk burned into me, Nathan's silence a deeper cut. Laura stayed, her eyes blazing. "Mom, we're not letting them win." That night, alone in my condo, I opened Richard's safe, a ritual I'd avoided since his death. Among his papers was a codicil to his will, dated a month before he passed, sealed in an envelope I hadn't noticed. My hands trembled as I read the first line. "To Evelyn, my partner in all things, I leave $40 million and control of Quantum Dynamics shares." My heart stopped. Richard hadn't betrayed me, Nathan had. He'd lied about the will, counting on my grief to keep me blind. The codicil was my secret weapon, a $40 million lifeline Richard had left to protect me. Nathan and Claire thought they could erase me, but they didn't know I'd been Richard's equal, managing his empire's finances for decades. I'd trusted Nathan's love, but his greed had changed him. Now I had the power to fight back. The next morning, I met Laura at a coffee shop near Pike Place Market, the Seattle skyline gray behind us. They lied, I said, showing her the codicil. Richard left me $40 million and the company. Nathan's trying to steal it. Laura's eyes widened. Mom, this is huge. They think you're out. What's the plan? I'm going to test them, I said, my voice steady. I'll ask for a small share again, see how far their greed goes. Then I'll dig into what they're hiding. They don't know about the codicil. Laura grinned, her teacher's calm giving way to fire. You're going to crush them. I'm in. I called Sam, our family lawyer, and met him at his office. Nathan says I get nothing, I said, sliding the codicil across his desk. But this says otherwise. I need a PI to investigate him and Claire. Sam's eyes lit up. This codicil's airtight, Evelyn. Richard knew what he was doing. I'll get you a PI. Carla's the best. She'll find the dirt. Do it, I said, my heart pounding. I want everything on them. As I left, I texted Nathan. I'm struggling after the estate news. $100,000 would help me start over. Can we talk? His reply was cold. You're fine, Mom. Don't push it. Claire's text was worse. Stop begging, Evelyn. The estate's ours. Their words were a knife. But they lit a fire. They thought I was a grieving widow, ready to fade away. But they didn't know about the $40 million codicil, or the years I'd spent balancing Richard's books. They didn't know I'd learned to fight for what was mine. This wasn't just about money, it was about respect, about Richard's legacy, about showing Nathan what he'd lost. My revenge would be sweeter than they could imagine. The rain-soaked Seattle skyline blurred outside my condo window, a fitting backdrop to the storm raging inside me. Nathan's words. You're not getting a dime echoed like a cruel taunt. His smug declaration that my husband, Richard's $55 million estate was his, and Claire's alone. I'm Evelyn, 62, the retired CFO who'd helped build Quantum Dynamics, Richard's tech empire, only to be erased by my own son. The codicil to Richard's will, naming me beneficiary of $40 million and control of the company shares, was my secret weapon, but the betrayal cut deeper than I'd expected. Laura, my daughter, sat beside me, her teacher's calm barely masking her fury. I needed to know how far Nathan's greed ran before I struck back. The day after the family meeting, I confronted Nathan at his sleek downtown office, a glass-walled space funded by Richard's wealth. He was on a call, his designer suit as polished as his arrogance. Mom, what's this about? He asked, hanging up with a sigh. I told you. Dad's will is final. I kept my voice steady, though my hands trembled. Nathan, I helped build Quantum Dynamics. My financial strategies made it what it is. Why am I getting nothing? He leaned back, his smirk mirroring Claire's. Dad wanted me to take over, Mom. You're retired. You've got your condo. Claire and I need this for our future, our projects. Don't make it personal. Personal? I said, my voice rising. You're my son. I gave you everything. Education, support, love. And you're cutting me out? He shrugged, avoiding my eyes. Dad changed the will when he was sick. He trusted me. You'll be fine. His words were a knife, twisting deeper with every lie. Richard's cancer had been swift, his final months clouded by pain and medication. Had Nathan manipulated him then? I left, my heart pounding, his dismissal fueling my resolve. Claire's text came an hour later. Stop whining, Evelyn. You're embarrassing yourself. Mom's silence, her failure to respond to my plea, was its own betrayal. Laura met me at my condo that evening, her eyes blazing. Nathan's changed, Mom, she said, pacing. Claire's got him wrapped around her finger. I bet she's behind this. I think so too, I said, showing her the codicil. Richard left me $40 million and the company shares. They don't know. But I need to know what they're planning. Laura hugged me, her voice fierce. We'll crush them, Mom. For Dad. That night, I dug into Richard's old files, searching for clues. In a locked drawer, I found bank statements showing $500,000 transferred from his personal account to a company called CN Ventures, Claire and Nathan, no doubt. Another document outlined a plan to liquidate Quantum Dynamics assets for a luxury development project, signed by Nathan. My stomach churned. They weren't just cutting me out, they were dismantling Richard's legacy for profit. I overheard them the next day at a family gathering at Nathan's penthouse, a lavish space dripping with Claire's influence. I'd gone to pick up some of Richard's belongings, but their voices carried from the balcony. "Once we sell the company shares, we're set," Claire said, her tone gleeful. $30 million for the development, plus the rest for us." Nathan's voice was hesitant. "What about Mom?" "She's asking questions," Claire laughed. "She's a nobody now. Let her have her condo. We've got the will locked down." My blood ran cold. They thought they'd won, rewriting Richard's wishes while I was grieving. But they didn't know about the codicil, or the years I'd spent balancing quantum dynamics books. I slipped out, my resolve hardening. The next morning, I called Sam, our family lawyer, and met him at his office near the waterfront. "Nathan says I get nothing," I said, sliding the codicil across his desk. "But this says I'm the primary beneficiary. I need a PI to dig into their finances." Sam's eyes widened as he read. "This changes everything, Evelyn. Richard protected you. I'll get you, Carla. She's the best PI I know. She'll find the dirt." "Do it," I said, wiring $4,000 from my savings for Carla's retainer. "I want everything Nathan's deals, Claire's schemes, anything they're hiding." Carla met me the next day, her no-nonsense demeanor reassuring. "I'll trace their accounts," she said. "Any chance they're forging documents? Hiding debts? Check it all," I said. "They're planning to sell Richard's company. I want to know how deep this goes." While Carla worked, I tested them one last time. I emailed Nathan, copying Claire. "I'm struggling after the estate news. $100,000 would help me start over. Can we work this out?" Nathan's reply was cold. "You're fine, Mom. Stop asking." Claire texted. "Get over it, Evelyn. The estate's ours now." Their dismissal was a final nail. They didn't just undervalue me, they saw me as irrelevant, a grieving widow to be brushed aside. But I wasn't the broken woman they thought. The codicil gave me power. And Carla's investigation would give me proof. I confided in Laura that night, her apartment a sanctuary from the storm. "They're selling Dad's company," I said, showing her the bank statements. "But I've got $40 million in control. I'm going to make them regret this." Laura's eyes gleamed. "You're a badass, Mom. What's the plan?" "I'll offer a fake settlement," I said. "Pretend I'm giving up my claim for a small payout. I'll record it, get them to admit their lies. Then I'll use the codicil to take it all back." Laura hugged me, her voice fierce. "For Dad! Let's do this." As I prepared, I thought of Richard's smile, his trust in me to protect our legacy. Nathan and Claire thought they could erase me, but they didn't know I'd been Richard's equal, his partner in every deal. The $40 million codicil was my shield, Carla's evidence my sword. They'd underestimated me, and they were about to learn how much that mistake would cost. The Seattle rain drummed against my condo's windows, a relentless rhythm matching the fury in my chest. Nathan's cold dismissal, "You're fine, Mom. Stop asking." And Claire's cruel taunt, "Get over it." Evelyn had turned my grief for Richard into a burning resolve. I'm Evelyn, 62, the retired CFO who'd helped my husband build Quantum Dynamics into a $55 million tech empire, only to have my son and his wife try to erase me from his estate, the codicil to Richard's will, leaving me $40 million and control of the company shares, was my secret weapon. But their betrayal demanded more than money, it demanded justice. I needed proof of Nathan and Claire's schemes to expose their greed. So, I called Sam, our family lawyer, and met him at his office near Pike Place Market, the codicil tucked safely in my purse. "They're planning to sell Quantum Dynamics assets," I said, sliding him the bank statements I'd found. $500,000 transferred to their shell company. I need a PI to dig deeper. Sam's eyes widened as he reviewed the codicil. This is airtight, Evelyn. Richard knew you'd protect his legacy. I'll get you, Carla. She's the best PI I know. She'll find the dirt. Do it, I said, wiring $4,500 from my savings for Carla's retainer. I want everything Nathan's deals, Claire's lies, anything they're hiding. Carla met me the next day at a quiet cafe, her sharp gaze reassuring. I'll trace their accounts, she said, jotting notes. You suspect forgery? Debts? Everything, I said. They're liquidating Richard's company for a development project. I need to know how far they've gone. While Carla worked, I tested Nathan and Claire one last time. I sent an email to Nathan, copying Claire. I'm struggling after the estate news. $100,000 would help me start over. Can we work this out for family harmony? I kept it humble, swallowing my pride to see if they'd show any remorse. Nathan's reply was icy. Mom, you've got your savings. Stop pushing. Claire texted. You're pathetic, Evelyn. The estate's ours now. Their words were a final nail, confirming they saw me as nothing more than a nuisance to be brushed aside. Carla's report came in 5 days later, and it was a bombshell. Laura and I met her at her office, a cluttered space filled with files and coffee cups. Nathan and Claire are in deep, Carla said, handing me a folder. They've siphoned $600,000 from Richard's personal accounts through CN Ventures, using forged signatures to transfer funds to Claire's lifestyle brand. They're also $300, 0-inch debt Nathan's from risky real estate investments, Claire's from credit card sprees. My hands trembled as I read. What about the company? That's the big one, Carla said. They're working with a developer to sell quantum dynamics assets patents. Real estate for $30 million. Your financial strategies, Evelyn, are the core of the deal, valued at $20 million. They've forged documents claiming Nathan owns the shares, but your codicil overrides everything. You control the company, Laura's jaw clenched. They're stealing Dad's legacy. And your work, Mom. There's more, Carla added. Claire's been blackmailing Nathan. She's got evidence of a shady deal he made years ago, insider trading, small but illegal. She's using it to keep him in line. I gripped the folder, my heart pounding. Nathan wasn't just greedy, he was trapped, manipulated by Claire's threats. But his complicity hurt worse. He'd chosen her over me, over Richard's memory. And Mom? Carla found emails showing she knew about the asset sale but dismissed it as Nathan's business. Her silence was complicity. Mom, this is enough to bury them, Laura said, her voice fierce. What's the plan? I'm going to bait them, I said, my mind racing. I'll offer a fake estate settlement $1 million for family harmony. I'll record it. Get them to admit their lies. Then I'll use the codicil to take back the company and estate. Laura grinned. You're a genius, Mom. Let's do this. We worked with Sam to set up the trap. He drafted a fake settlement agreement, worded to sound desperate but enticing, requiring Nathan and Claire to admit they pressured Richard to change the will. We'd host a meeting at my condo, with a hidden recorder to capture their words. I also contacted Quantum Dynamics Board, hinting I controlled the shares, planting seeds of doubt about Nathan's claims. The next day, I emailed Nathan and Claire. I'm ready to settle the estate for family harmony. I'll accept $1 million for my claim. Can we meet to discuss? Their replies were instant. Claire. About time, Evelyn. Let's talk. Nathan. We'll see the numbers. Their greed was predictable, my weapon. I confided in my old friend Rachel, a retired accountant who'd worked with me at Quantum Dynamics. They're stealing Richard's legacy. I told her over coffee, but I've got $40 million and the company. I'm going to make them regret this. Rachel's eyes widened. You're fighting for Richard, Evelyn. He'd be proud. Her support grounded me. I thought of Nathan, my boy, now a pawn in Claire's schemes. I wanted to save him, but he'd chosen this path. The codicil was my shield, Carla's evidence my sword. They thought they could erase me, but they didn't know I'd been Richard's partner, his equal in every deal. The estate wasn't just money, it was our legacy. And I was ready to take it back. The Seattle drizzle coated my condo's windows as I prepared for the showdown that would unravel Nathan and Claire's world. It was a tense August evening in 2025, and I'd turned my dining room into a battlefield. A laptop displayed fake settlement documents for Richard's $55 million estate, crafted with Sam's lawyer friend to look desperate but enticing. A hidden recorder, legal under Washington's one-party consent law, sat in a vase, ready to capture every word. Laura, my daughter, stood by my side, her teacher's calm masking a fire that matched mine. This was it, the moment I, Evelyn, would make my son and his wife pay for trying to steal my husband's legacy. The codicil, naming me beneficiary of $40 million and control of Quantum Dynamics' shares, was my secret weapon, and their greed was my trap. Nathan and Claire arrived promptly, their polished exteriors a stark contrast to my modest condo. Claire's designer heels clicked on the hardwood, her smirk sharp as ever. Nathan trailed behind, his eyes avoiding mine, guilt flickering beneath his arrogance. Mom Diane came last, her face a mix of unease and hope, unaware of the storm I was about to unleash. They thought they were here for a settlement. To buy my silence. They had no idea I held the codicil that would crush their plans. "Thanks for coming," I said, gesturing to the dining table, my voice steady despite my pounding heart. "I'm ready to settle the estate for family harmony." Claire raised an eyebrow, her smile dripping with condescension. "About time, Evelyn. Let's make this quick, what's the deal?" I opened the laptop, projecting the fake settlement agreement. "I'll relinquish my claim to the estate for $1 million, I said, sliding them copies. "It's a fraction of the $55 million. Sign this, it acknowledges you pressured Richard to change the will, ensuring I get nothing." Nathan shifted uncomfortably, but Claire leaned forward, her greed palpable. $1 million? That's it? You're sitting on a fortune, Evelyn. Make it $2 million. And we'll sign. My blood boiled. They'd tried to erase me, and now they wanted more? I kept my face neutral. You'd sign a document admitting you manipulated Dad's will? For money? Claire laughed, cold and careless. Sure. Richard was half dead when we talked him into it. He didn't care about you anymore. Give us $2 million, and we'll call it even. Laura's fists clenched under the table, but I pressed on, the recorder catching every word. You're saying you coerced him? Knowing he was sick? Nathan's voice was low. It wasn't like that, Mom. It was exactly like that, Claire cut in, smirking. He was out of it. We needed the money. Our development project's huge. Sign over the estate, and you'll get your $1 million. That was it, the confession I needed. I stood, my voice like ice. You're not getting a dime. I know everything. Your fraud, your forgeries, your plan to sell Quantum Dynamics, and I have Richard's codicil, naming me beneficiary of $40 million and control of the company shares. The room froze. Claire's smirk vanished. Nathan's face paled. Mom gasped, her hands trembling. What are you talking about? Claire snapped, her voice shaking. I pulled up Carla's report on the laptop. You siphoned $600,000 from Richard's accounts through C.N. Ventures, forging his signatures. Nathan, you're $300,000 in debt from bad investments. And Claire's blackmailing you with your insider trading scandal. You plan to sell the company's assets for $30 million, claiming shares that are mine. Laura stepped forward, her voice fierce. You betrayed Dad's legacy, Nathan. And Mom's work. I played the recordings. Claire's balcony confession. She's a nobody now. Nathan's weak agreement to the sale, their texts dismissing my pleas. Their faces crumpled, Claire with rage, Nathan with shame, Mom with shock. This settlement was a test, I said, my voice rising. You failed. I've already contacted Quantum Dynamics Board. They know I control the shares, and your sale is dead. I'm donating $10 million to a tech education charity in Richard's name, and I'm filing charges for fraud and forgery. Claire leapt up, screaming, "You're stealing our future, you can't do this." "I already have," I said, stepping closer. "You stole Richard's trust, Nathan's loyalty. Now you're done." Nathan's voice was hoarse. "Mom, I didn't mean—" "Save it," I cut him off. "You chose her over me, over Dad." Mom's eyes were wet. "Evelyn, I didn't know." "You did," I said, my voice cold. "You let them push me out." "Get out." Sam, waiting in the kitchen, stepped in. "Threaten her again, Claire, and I'll have the police here. Those recordings are admissible." Claire grabbed her purse, her face red. "You'll regret this, Evelyn." Laura opened the door. "Get out." "All of you." They left in a storm of protests, Claire's curses, Nathan's stammered apologies, Mom's quiet sobs. I sank into a chair, the recorder in my hand, my heart racing but lighter. I'd exposed their greed, protected Richard's legacy, and reclaimed my power. They thought they could erase me, but I'd turned their world upside down. Sam sat beside me, his voice calm. "You okay, Evelyn?" I nodded, a small smile breaking through. "Yeah. I did it for Richard. For Laura." The fight wasn't over, the legal battle would be messy, and Nathan's betrayal lingered. But I'd secured the $40 million and Quantum Dynamics shares. I'd already started talks with the board to keep the company running, honoring Richard's vision. Claire and Nathan would face justice, and Mom would have to face her complicity. I wasn't done, but for the first time I felt free. As I looked out at Seattle's twinkling skyline, I thought of Richard's smile, his trust in me. They'd tried to take his legacy, but I'd fought back. The codicil was my victory, and my revenge was sweeter than they could imagine. The silence in my Seattle condo after the explosive meeting was like the calm after a storm, heavy with the weight of what I'd done. I'd exposed Nathan and Claire for their greed, using a fake settlement to trap their confessions on tape. $600,000 siphoned from Richard's accounts, forged signatures, and Claire's blackmail over Nathan's past scandal. I'm Evelyn, 62. The retired CFO who'd helped build Richard's $55 million tech empire, Quantum Dynamics, only to have my son try to erase me. The codicil, naming me beneficiary of $40 million and control of the company shares, was my victory. But as I sat with Laura, my daughter, in the dim light, a new question loomed. What now? Laura hugged me tightly, her voice fierce but soft. "You did it, Mom. You saved Dad's legacy." I nodded, tears stinging my eyes. "For him. For you. But Nathan, I need to know if he can come back from this." The next morning, I moved fast. With Sam, my lawyer, I finalized control of Quantum Dynamics shares, ensuring the company stayed true to Richard's vision. I allocated $30 million from the codicil to fund its growth, hiring ethical leaders to carry it forward. The remaining $10 million went to a tech education charity, Richard's Hope, to train young innovators, something Richard always dreamed of. I filed fraud and forgery charges against Claire, using Carla's evidence and the recorded confession. Nathan's insider trading scandal was turned over to the authorities, leaving him to face the consequences. I moved to a new home in Bellevue, a modern house with views of Lake Washington, Laura by my side. We filled it with Richard's photos, his old blueprints, a reminder of the empire we'd built together. But Nathan's betrayal lingered, a wound that wouldn't heal. I needed to understand why he'd turned against me. 2 weeks later, Nathan showed up at my new house, alone, looking broken. "Mom," he said, his voice hoarse. "I'm sorry. Claire had me trapped. She knew about my insider trading, threatened to ruin me. I thought signing over the estate would save my career." I studied him, my son, his eyes wet with regret. "You chose her over me," I said, my voice steady but heavy. "Over Dad's memory. Over Laura. Why?" He sank onto the porch steps, head in his hands. I was scared. She made it sound like you didn't need the money, that you'd be fine. I didn't know about the codicil, or how much she was stealing. Laura, standing behind me, spoke softly. You heard us, Nathan. Can you fix this? I want to try, he said, looking up. I've left Claire. I'm in therapy, facing the charges. I want to be better. I wanted to believe him, but trust was shattered. You can volunteer at Richard's Hope, I said. Work hard. No favors. One chance. He nodded, tears falling. Thank you, Mom. Claire's downfall was swift. The fraud charges stuck, and her influencer status crumbled as sponsors fled. She faced jail time, her $300,000 credit card debt exposed, leaving her isolated. Her family disowned her, unwilling to be tied to her scandal. I didn't celebrate, it felt hollow with Nathan's pain, but justice was served. Mom reached out a month later, her voice trembling over the phone. Evelyn. I was wrong, she said. I believed Nathan's lies about you. I should have stood up for you. Her apology was raw, but her silence had hurt. You can visit, I said. But Laura and I set the boundaries. No more blind loyalty to Nathan. She came for coffee, tears in her eyes as she saw Richard's photo on my wall. You've kept him alive, she said. I'm proud of you, Evelyn. I didn't forgive her fully, not yet, but I left the door open. For Laura's sake. Quantum Dynamics thrived under new leadership, its profits funding Richard's Hope. The charity trained dozens of students, with Laura teaching financial literacy workshops, her passion a mirror of mine. Nathan volunteered, showing up quietly, earning cautious respect from the team. It wasn't family, not yet, but it was a start. One surprise came from Rachel, my old accountant friend, who joined the charity's board. You're a force, Evelyn, she said over dinner. Richard would be in awe of you, I smiled, shaking my head. I'm just his partner still. Months later, Laura and I stood in our new backyard, the lake sparkling under the Seattle sun. You saved Dad's dream, Mom, she said, her voice soft. And ours. I hugged her, my heart full. I saved us, Laura. That's enough. I thought back to that family meeting. Nathan's voice. You're not getting a dime, cutting me like a blade. I'd felt erased. A widow cast aside by her own son. But the codicil had given me power not just to reclaim the estate, but to honor Richard's legacy and protect Laura. Nathan was trying, Mom was rebuilding, and Claire was gone. Her greed, her undoing. Laura and I were the heart of this family, and Quantum Dynamics was our empire. As I watched the sunset, I felt free. Not just from Nathan's betrayal or Claire's lies, but from the need to prove myself to anyone. I'd fought for Richard's dream, for Laura's future, and I'd won. That was the sweetest revenge of all.